Hey guys, I'm here in my bathroom and I have makeup on now, but in this video today, I was putting on my makeup and just candidly chatting with you guys. And I wanted to talk to you about just what I was thinking in my head. I thought, you know what, I'm thinking this, I want to share it with you guys. And I'm going to talk to you guys today about how to create your life by design. And a lot of times we think, oh, I want to do this thing and I want to do all these amazing things in my life, but we don't actually do them because there's not a game plan in place to make that happen. So what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to go through and just talk out loud the process that I go through, how I decide where I want to be, what I want to do, and then how I reverse engineer the steps to make that happen. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through and talk about it in context of business and context of your personal life. I mean, you can apply everything that we're going to talk about today to like any specific area. And I hope you don't mind the red blotchy skin, no makeup look, and you're going to see the Mako transformation, I suppose, by the end of this video. So when I think about this topic, it reminds me of that scene in The Notebook where he's like, what do you want? And she's like, I don't know, what do you want? And I think a lot of times we end up in that scenario, right? Like, how many times have you been thinking like, okay, what do I actually want to do? And it's easy to get paralyzed by overwhelm and then just be like, I don't know, I can't decide, so I'm gonna go binge watch Inventing Anna or The Tinder Swindler, which, guilty. I binge watched both of those in the last month. They're interesting, crazy shows. But I think a lot of times, you know, you guys have heard my story where I was a history major in college. I never thought that my career would look the way that it does now. But for me, there were pivotal times where I had to look back and say, what do I actually want, right? Like, what do I want my life to look like? And I think recently I asked myself that same question. I look back at after I had my kids, what did I want my life to look like? Did I want to be a working mom? Did I want to be a stay-at-home mom? Did I want some combination of the two? I look back at the time after I got my divorce, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, we didn't do child support, we didn't do alimony, and I had like 3 months of rent left in my checking account. And I was like, all right, Natalie, what are you gonna do? Like, I could have gone out and just gotten a job. I could have, for sure. I had to sit down and say, what do you want your life to look like? And here's the thing, if you aren't intentional about even asking yourself that question and then figuring out what you want your life to look like, and then what I do is I reverse engineer the steps that need to happen in order for my life to look like that. And I think a lot of times what we do is we walk around kind of aimlessly, right? Like, well, yeah, I think I want this thing, but I also want this thing and I want that. And so I'm just gonna kind of randomly do a whole bunch of things and hopefully I get to where I wanna be. Sometimes that works, but it usually doesn't. And so I'm gonna kind of just talk through what I do when I'm trying to figure out, when I'm at a crossroads and I'm like, hey, I wanna be here, I'm here, what do I need to do along the way to get there? I'm gonna not talk for a second because if you're anything like me, I can't talk and put eyeliner on at the same time, so pause. All right, eyeliner done. So for me, I think back to what did I do during that time? And I kind of follow a step-by-step process where I, one, write out, like actually write out what is it that I want. And then I decide two things. One, what are the steps that need to happen to create that? And two, who are the people that I need to work with, align myself with in order to make that happen? Now, people can sometimes also be tools or software, things like that. And so I just recently did this. So I'm 36, I'll be 37 in July. And I started looking at my life, which for the most part, I'm really happy with where I'm at in my life right now. But I started thinking, okay, Natalie, you're getting close to 40. Like, what do you actually want your life to look like when you're 40 years old? What do you want that to look like? And I put this off for a while because it feels kind of scary to like declare it, right? To write it out. And so I went through and I started writing out in the key areas, right? Professionally, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my business to look like? Personally, what do I want my life to look like? With my relationships, with my kids, the kind of mom I want to be. And like physically, like where do I want my health to be? What kind of habits do I want to have in place? What kind of personal education you like this look? What kind of personal education do I want to have accomplished? And what do I want my hobbies and my free time to look like? And so what I did is I just started writing a big list and I started putting down things like, well, okay, so let's start with the easiest ones. I bought this home on 5.5 acres. So I want to, my secret dream, which it's really not that much of a secret, I want my property to be self-sustaining. So I want to have a food forest. I want to improve the land so that way there's good microorganisms that are making the soil healthy so that I can grow organically. I want it to be, beautiful. I want, and I kind of wrote out everything that I want. I want to pull up the shrubs. I want that to be a tiered garden with hydrangeas and perennials. And so I start with just what's everything that I want, right? And then I say, okay, this is a nice list, but realistically, what are the steps that need to happen for that to get there? So for me, I want to have fruit trees throughout the property so that I can eat from the pretty trees. Well, fruit trees take 3 to 4 years before you're able to harvest from it. So for me, that's a top priority, that I need to get those fruit trees probably planted this year. So that way, because I know it's gonna be 4 years before I'm able to harvest anything from them. So I put that on my list for, okay, 2020, we need to get the fruit trees planted. But in order to get the fruit trees planted, I need to make sure that my property, the ground isn't very level. And so in order to get water to those fruit trees, it doesn't, right, the way it is right now, I have to level the ground out because otherwise water is gonna pool in certain areas and get really marshy. So that's partly why I bought my tractor. So what that means is probably this month, I need to go through, now that the ground has defrosted, and I need to take my tractor and I need to level things out. I need to put good organic compost in, and I need to get the ground in a place where I can plant. So that's top priority. And then I need to map out where I want my garden to be and get started on that, right? Then I need to decide what kind of trees I want. I need to figure out which trees need 2 of the same tree because they have to cross-pollinate with each other in order to produce fruit. And so that's knowledge I already have and know, but if I didn't, I'd have to do some research on that. Maybe go to some local nurseries and take some gardening classes, maybe hire somebody, right? And so that actually leads into the next thing is like, okay, these are all the steps that you need to take in order to make that happen. Realistically, Natalie, do you have the time to do this? And so I look at the things and I say, all right, what am I willing to pay somebody to outsource versus what do I want to do myself, or do I have the time to do myself? Now for me, gardening is like, it's my form of self-care. It's my favorite hobby. And so I like doing that kind of stuff. But there are some things that, like for example, planting the actual trees, I might hire an expert to do that because you can actually plant a tree wrong and mess up the root system forever, or you can plant your trees too close together. So that might be something I hire somebody to do. Bringing the soil in that I need, that might be something I hire somebody to do because I don't really necessarily want to be shoveling loads, right? Those are things that I would think through, and then I would keep going, right? And I'd say, all right, I want to have a medicinal herb garden. Where do I want to put that? I want to have rainwater collection. And so what that means is I need to put a new roof on my house. What's the budget for that? Is that a this year project? Is that a next year project? And so that's, for example, what it would look like in creating my dream property. It's gonna feel overwhelming if you do every area of your life. So I would start with picking maybe 5, right? So then I would go into how do I physically wanna feel and look? So I get my blood work done every single year, and I am a spreadsheet nerd. So I just took all that data and put it into a spreadsheet. So I could compare my year-over-year numbers. And right now my glucose levels are kind of high, so I need to bring that down. But I can't just magically bring my numbers down, right? It's like, what are the steps that need to happen in order for that result to happen? So 1, I need to be better about getting back to my healthy eating and meal planning. 2, I need to start getting my workouts in again. So what I did is I said, okay, I know my personality, I respond really well to accountability and support and having a game plan. And so I went online. Some friends of mine have a company called Clean Simple Eats. This is not sponsored or anything. This is just what I paid for myself. And they have really awesome meal plans. Now, I have my own cookbooks. Can I create my own meal plans? I have a certification in sports nutrition. Yes, but sometimes it's easier for me just to follow somebody else's plan, so I don't even have to think twice about it. So I paid to have their meal plans. I bought all the supplies that I needed. And then on Sunday, I did an Instacart grocery delivery where I ordered everything. I paid a little bit of money to have somebody else do the shopping for me, so it saved me time. And I did my meal prep on Sunday. Again, I like doing meal prep. Could I have hired somebody to do that? Probably, but I enjoy doing that, so I know what's in my food. So now everything's prepped and ready to go. It'll make it easier for me to actually stick to my goals. My workouts, I shared with you guys the VR workouts, which I've been doing, but I just haven't been motivated to get back into strength training again. And so I went online to Valor Fitness, again, not sponsored, and I bought some new gym equipment because to me that feels exciting and motivating to want to use that gym equipment and get back into workouts again. Hold on, again, just like I can't do eyeliner, I can't fill in my brows while I'm talking. Un momento. All right, so again, I came up with a game plan and I wrote out my workouts for the week that were realistic, right? Like, you don't want to go from not working out at all to all of a sudden saying, I'm going to work out 6 days a week. Included in my workout plan is simply just getting 10,000 steps in a day. I bought an Apple Watch to keep me accountable. For me, having accountability and a game plan is key. Otherwise, it's going to be this idea that you want to do something, but you don't have a plan. And so then it falls off your radar and you fall into that habit of, oh, I'll just start again next week, or I'll start again on Monday, right? Even if it's not perfect, even if it's just tiny baby steps, you want to have some sort of game plan to get you to where you want to be, or else again, you're going to be walking around aimless and most likely not get to the destination that you want. Now, for me, I also know if I have to go work out by myself, sometimes I'm really good at it, but lately I have not been. So going back to accountability, what I did is I have 5 brothers, you know? So one of my little brother's friends, his name's Ramiro, and sometimes I'll hire him to come over and help me with like handyman kind of stuff around the house. He's like 22 or something, or 21, I think. And I called him and I said, hey, I have a deal for you. I just bought all this new gym equipment. It's gonna be kind of a pain to set up. Want to make a deal? If you come set it up for me, I'll let you work out at my gym for free that I have at my house. And I'll even write the workouts if you want. We can be accountability buddies. He's like, done. It's like a win-win-win, right? Like he's gonna spend a little bit of his time to help me put together the leg press that I just bought and the cable pulling machine I just bought. We're gonna assemble that, but then he gets a gym to work out at and I get accountability. I have my gym equipment put together and it's like a win for all of us around. So again, finding ways that you can put accountability into anything that you wanna do is gonna significantly increase the chances of your success. So let me share a story with you where I really realized this, or somebody taught this to me in regards to business. So I was a part of a mastermind program and it was Russell Brunson's Inner Circle, and it wasn't cheap to be a part of it. It was 25 grand a year, then they upped it to 50 grand a year. But it was first year I was in, and I had had some success with my business. We had hit the $1 million mark in revenue and I had a ton of momentum and so I had joined this mastermind. I had invested back in myself, which was really scary for me at the time. I'd never spent that much money on anything except for the down payment of my house. And so one of the benefits of being in a mastermind, and I 100% recommend masterminds if you have a business and you are wanting to take it to the next level, because not only are you learning from the person that you're paying to be a part of the mastermind, but I actually think more importantly, it's the other people that are in the group that are investing in themselves, that are movers, that are doers, that are working to climb up the ladder. You want to be climbing up the ladder with them, right? And I learned a ton from Russell being in the Inner Circle, but what was actually more valuable to me was, one, the relationships that I built with the other people in the mastermind. I mean, I'm no longer a part of that mastermind group, but I still network with all the friends that I made by being a part of that mastermind. And two, the opportunities that came my way because I invested in that mastermind. You know, I never ever would have had the connections to be speaking on Brandon Burchard's stage or Dean Graziosi's stage or Grant Cardone's stage. I got those networking opportunities because of the people I knew through my masterminds that I had invested in. Just a plug for masterminds. Now, not all masterminds are great. There are some crappy ones out there, but when you find somebody that you trust and you can see that there's other people that are in the mastermind that are doing things that you want to be doing, for me, I have always gotten a significant return from the money I paid to be in masterminds. But anyways, that's not the point of what I was here to talk about. My point is, I remember the first year I was in this mastermind, and how it was structured is everybody would fly. I happen to live in Boise, which is where Russell lives. So everybody flies to Boise, Idaho, and we spend 3 days where the first day usually Russell teaches, and then the other days, every person gets like 25 minutes to go up, talk about something they're working on, share their ideas, and get input from everybody else. And the way that Russell would structure it is that after each speaker, which were just the people that paid to be in the mastermind, we do a 3.5 minute talk and walk where we were in this like conference room, and you just pair up with somebody, you decide, and then you walk around the room. So one, it's kind of getting you active in between speakers, but then you talk about what you just heard or learned from the person that was sharing their ideas, you know, the speaker. And so I remember specifically, there was one walk and talk where I was paired up with a friend of mine who was also in the mastermind. His name is Alex Hermosi. And Alex is, if you aren't following Alex yet, you should. He has this way of speaking that is like very captivating and mesmerizing. And he's really successful in business. And I remember we were talking and walking, and like I said, I had just hit the $1 million mark in revenue. And I remember him saying, well, what do you want to do next? And I didn't really know. I didn't really have a strong game plan at that point. And I was like, well, I don't know. I've done $1 million in revenue. My next goal is 10 million, I guess. And I remember him saying, okay, well, what does that mean? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, let's break down the math on that. He goes, okay, you've done $1 million in revenue. So if you were to do that over a year, if you break it down by month, that's $83,333. If you want to do 10 million, that's $833,333 every single month. Do you have a plan in place in order to create that revenue? And I remember feeling kind of silly, and I was like, no. And he's like, all right, well, let's back end into that. What are your revenue numbers right now, every single month? I was like, I don't know, I think we're at like 140. He's like, okay, so what do you need to do in order to have a 10% increase on that? 10% increase would be 14,000. That would bring you to 150,000 each month. And then let's look at what that would look like in a year. And he said, so instead of arbitrarily throwing numbers out there, like, oh, I did $1 million, I want to do 10 million. He said, let's come up with a game plan in order to get there. And then you can reverse engineer using math. And the conversation probably went slightly differently than that, but that was the gist of it. And I remember it was so eye-opening for me because up until that point, I never looked at it that way. I just thought, well, you know, I'm just gonna follow these steps and do these things and hopefully it works out. And so since then, and I get made fun of all the time because I have spreadsheets on everything inside of my business. I keep data on everything inside of my company because when I don't know what to do, I look at the data to tell me what to do and I make data-driven decisions. And it was really that conversation that kind of gave me that aha moment on how to do it. Now we make goals based on where we're currently at, where we want to be, and we reverse engineer what steps need to happen to make that possible. And then I include accountability, right? I'm at the point now where I have a company, I have a team, I have employees, we have contractors, but I do two things. One, I reinvest back into my company always. I mean, last year was a big year of reinvestment. We grew really quickly and I knew, okay, if I don't reinvest back into my company, I don't want to build a house of cards here and I want to make sure that we have a foundation that's stable and strong enough to support this growth. So I reinvested in multiple ways. I reinvested in people. I brought in a lot of people who had skill sets and strengths that we didn't currently have on our team or in our company. I invested in softwares, expensive software that allowed us to communicate with our audience better or gave us data and information on our customers. And I also took a hard look, and this is where it comes back to tying all of your different areas together. And I said, what am I currently doing right now inside the business that I could delegate and offload to somebody else? And that one was hard for me because I don't know, it's just hard for me to do. It has in the past, I'm learning, I'm getting better, but it's been hard for me to delegate. But in order for me to live the lifestyle I want, right, I don't want to be working all the time, is I said, all right, well, here's things that I'm currently doing inside the business. Like for example, I've never had a CFO, like I was the CFO. And although I like spreadsheets and numbers, I knew that that was something that I could hire a CFO to come in and analyze the numbers probably better than I could and save me a whole bunch of time. So that way I either have more time to spend with my kids or I can be focusing on things inside the company that only I can do that would allow us to grow and scale, right? I'm the only one that can be on video. I'm the creative behind the brand. So I'm the one creating the content for the most part. And so I looked at that and I said, all right, this is an area that's taking a significant amount of my time every month. And so I reached out to friends that I knew from my mastermind, and I found out that a lot of my friends were using virtual CFOs. And so we this year hired a virtual CFO. And I will tell you, it's been hard for me kind of to let go of that. And I still have my hand in it to some degree, which I'm hoping over time I'll be more comfortable letting that go all the way. But it has been such a relief for me not to have to be the CFO of the company. And then they just come to me with the high level decisions. And so I guess what I wanted to do, you guys, as I was getting ready with you today, is just very candidly chat with you about the thought process that I go into when I say, all right, what areas of my life am I happy with and I don't want to change anything? Awesome. But what areas of my life do I want to get a little bit better, or do I want to see some improvements? And what do I actually want that to look like? That's step one, because most of us never really write that out. And then two, what steps need to happen for me to get there? How can I put accountability and support in place to keep me on track? And what's realistic and what's not? And then the last thing that I do is I write it down and I put it I'm a very visual person. So I have these big easel giant Post-it notes. You've seen me do those in the Post-it note exercise. And I write it out and I put it where I'm gonna see it every single day as a reminder to myself. And it's not super pretty or decorative, but that's my process that I go through. And then as we go along, if I realize, okay, hold on, this was a little bit too aggressive or not aggressive enough, or we need to pivot things, that's okay here and there. But for the most part, I have my path I'm gonna follow, I have my game plan. And then once you achieve that, then you just rinse and repeat and you do the entire process again. And that is literally how you create a life by design. That's how you create the life that you want. Now, one final tip I'll say is if you feel like you're not actually following the plan, then what you need to do, and I learned this from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, is you need to look at the areas in your life that you're spending time on that aren't moving you forward towards the things you want to do. So James Clear in his book calls that friction, right? So what you want to do is you want to increase friction on the things that you don't want to be doing, the habits that aren't moving you forward, and you want to decrease friction on the things that you do want to be doing. So like, for example, right, let's say one of my things is I want to get my daily workouts in the morning. So decreasing friction would be to write out your meal plan, to have your clothes laid out right next to the bed or even wear them to bed the morning before, to have your water bottle already ready to go, to have your coffee preset so that way you can just drink a cup of coffee and go work out, right? It's making it easier. You're decreasing the friction in order to do the things you said you wanted to do. So increasing friction might be, okay, I'm not getting my workouts done because I stayed up too late watching Netflix shows or I'm watching too much TV. So increasing friction around watching TV, that's a habit you don't want to have. You could do things like unplug the TV when you're done watching it. So in order to actually watch TV, you have to plug it back in, retype the Wi-Fi password. You're making it harder for yourself to do one of the habits you don't really want to be doing. Now, those are silly examples, but I want you to think about, okay, if there's things that are stopping me from following this path that I've laid out, how can I increase friction on the things that are stopping me, and how can I decrease friction on the actions that I need to do and take on the path right now? So I hope that was helpful for you guys. My advice, my tip to you is look at where you're at right now. And I would say, all right, what's the next milestone? Like for me, that was, what do I want my life to look like when I'm 40? Now, that was a 3-year, that's like a long time. Maybe you just want to do 6 months. Maybe you want to do 3 months. Maybe you want to do 1 month. Maybe you want to do a year. The time frame is arbitrary. You decide the time frame you want, but make sure that it's long enough where you can actually put in some lasting changes and actually see some results, because when you see results, that's going to give you the momentum to keep going forward. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. And again, this was more of a candid, fun conversation that I had with you guys while I was totally non-makeup, just getting ready. But I thought, you know what? Let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I have to put makeup on anyways, and I want to talk to you guys. Let's do it at the same time. See, there's another little tip. I decreased friction on filming for you guys. I did 2 at the same time. All right, have a great day, guys, and I will see you in the next video.